Hello, I'm Annalouise, and today I'm going to be talking about expressing through sound. Why am I talking about expressing through sound? I'm talking about expressing through sound because I tried a couple of times to record a video on something else and I was getting blocked. And so when I meditated on it, it was like, maybe this is the video that really wants to happen today. Being able to fully express through sound. What do I mean by sound? I mean anything from being able to express ourselves through our quiet voice, our internal voice, to be able to express ourselves from our external voice, the sound that goes out into the world, to being able to make noise of any form in any moment. And also our singing voice, our voice for creating that sort of harmonious or non-harmonious sounding. So where do you think you are at with your expression of sound? Are you someone that tends to be quite quiet and doesn't use your voice much and your sounds much? Or are you a super expressive person with an expressive voice, full permission for your voice, full permission for sound, whatever that might be in each moment? Like if that's a 10 for super expressive to 0 as really quiet and less expressive, where would you be? All is good, it's all information. And it's so interesting, right? Because it's such a cultural thing. I mean, obviously it's personality based as well, but it's also very cultural. I spent a lot of time in Spain. The amount of permission for sound in Spain still sometimes surprises me. Both sound in terms of the amount of noise people might just generate from their houses, in terms of having hi-fis playing and things like that, to in a restaurant, the quantity of sound is just amazing. It's amazing for me as a British person. And I'm always fascinated by how people love speaking over the top of each other here. So everyone's speaking at once. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but that often seems to be my experience. And yeah, there's just a lot of permission for sound and expression and whatever is emotion arising, expressing that freely in the moment. And then where I come from in Britain, certainly my experience of growing up was there was much less permission for the sound, and there was much more conscientiousness, let's say, around sound and interrupting people and perhaps other people hearing sound. And my schooling felt like sound wasn't invited generally. It would be invited if one was asked a question, but the rest of the time it was very much more appropriate to stay very quiet. And I think many of us learned that, right? That in school we got told off if we made too much noise. And funny enough, I had a little time volunteering for a friend, a Spanish friend, who was teaching English. And so I went into his school and helped him teach English to the kids. And it was such a different experience to a British school that I had experienced. There was so much more noise, so much more sound, so much more freedom of expression. So yeah, I'm wondering how your schooling was. Was it somewhere where sound was really welcomed and lots of noise was welcomed? Or was it somewhere where you got to learn quick that it's best not to make too much sound? And also in your family environment, was it an environment with lots of music and noise? Was it an environment where people raised their voices or they didn't raise their voices? Yeah, it's just good to receive, isn't it? Because it gives us a background of why we might be a certain way with our level of expression. And how does it feel when I say, how would it be for you if you had more full expression of your sounds? How would that feel? Does it bring up fear? Does it bring up a longing? I am gradually coming into my voice and into my greater range of sound. It's baby steps. It's very baby steps. But the more I do it, the more I love it. And for me, it's not just about the voice and then the singing. It's also about freely being able to express noise with whatever comes out. Kids they scream, they make noises, they've got lovely wails of excitement. And as we get into adulthood, many of us restrict that level of sounding, that level of expression to ourselves. And my sense is it can be super releasing and healing and freeing and more authentic and more natural if we once again let those sounds free. I've got a friend who I play ping pong with, and one of the best things about our ping pong games is how much sound we make. Sometimes I joke, it's like we could have a full stadium of people around us with how much noise we're making when we play ping pong, because there's oohs and there's uhs and there's yays and there's ahs and it's just so releasing, and it feels very healing and very relaxing and great fun. We laugh a lot at the random shots that are happening around the ping pong table. And I'm curious, what activities for you are like the equivalent of my ping pong? What activities for you do you feel you have more range of sound and possibility in? It may be none, and that's totally fine. Nothing might come to mind. But if you have a little contemplation, what might it be? It's also interesting to think about, when is our sound more able to be free around different types of people? Like, can you think, who do you feel more comfortable with the full expression of your voice with? And who do you feel less comfortable with the full expression of your voice with? And for instance, like, does that vary with being around kids or with being around adults? Like, if you're with young children, how's your voice? So now we've sort of explored it a little bit, it's good to bring even more awareness to our own personal experience, is that when we rated ourselves from 0 to 10, is it that we're always 0, always 10, or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, whatever it might be? Or is that what we sort of categorize ourselves, but then in some instances we might be an 8, and some instances we might be a 1? Does that feel true for you? Like, do you vary on that scale? And let's tune into the times that might be a bit higher if you have those. And notice, as a self-awareness practice, how that feels when you come into greater comfort around your sound, where you have greater freedom. What do you notice in your system, in your body? Like, does your field feel like energetically bigger or smaller? How is your mind? Is it thinking more or less? And then going the other way as well, so that when you're in the instances where your sound feels more repressed, noticing what's happening in your body then. Where do you experience contraction or sensations? And let's send those places lots of love and welcome. And what else is present? Are there any emotions present in that place of lack of expression or less expression? Any fear or any other emotions? Whatever's there, we're going to send it so much love. And today I also want to welcome our inner voice, our quiet voice. So the voice that doesn't get heard to the external world, but the voice that speaks to ourselves, or the voice that responds but doesn't want to say it out loud for whatever reason. How many times has someone asked you something, or you felt like saying something, or you've thought something but you've decided not to say it because for whatever reason it didn't feel appropriate, or you didn't want to feel exposed? Or so I'm going to just make space right now to honour that internal expression and give us all the opportunity to honour that internal expression, that even if it's not expressed into the outside world, we can hear it, we can honour it, we can listen to it, we can trust it, we can want to respond to it and listen to it and give it the care and attention that it needs. Well, I haven't touched on much. I did a little bit with the ping pong example, but the chance just to make random noises, just random noises. I don't know if you've ever tried speaking in sort of gibberish, you know, when you might be sort of almost speaking a different language, but it's not a real language. And that's a great practice if you haven't ever done it before. Just so you can try speaking to me right now. You can try speaking your own gibberish. So here we go. I'm going to speak to you. Shikom. Powiedzmy na namówka papa kalisiutuka. Hima. And how does that feel to you? Do you feel silly? Could you do it? Could you not do it? I'm curious. You might have done it before. You might not have done it before. I've been in workshops where we've spent some time doing that backwards and forwards, and it can feel really, really good and liberating. Actually, recently I attended a retreat, and at the end of the retreat, I had really connected with the workshop leaders, and I was saying goodbye to one of them, and I started just speaking, you know, gibberish while I was saying goodbye to her. And she was just like, I don't understand you, but I can feel how much love you're communicating. And I was like, oh, that's so true. I'm communicating so much love. And there's so many times in the day where we can liberate more sound. And so it's a good awareness just to notice how silent we can be. And also experiment with what might happen if we were just a little bit more noisy. And it can start really small, right? It can just start like, or huh, or It doesn't have to be, hey. It can be just a little experiment to see where our boundaries of sound lie, and to enable us to have more of ourselves, more of our expression in every moment. Because I feel sound is so fundamental to our expression. Whatever that sound might be, it doesn't need to be words. The words are such a thinking way of expressing ourselves, aren't they? Whereas sound before words, sound after words. So how does it feel to open up to the possibility of being more expressive through sound? How does that feel to you? Is it a yes? Is it a no? Is it a no way? All is good. And whatever it is, I invite you just to be curious and to see what else is happening around. Notice how other people release sound or how they don't release sound, how they're perhaps introverted or extroverted, and let's all learn from each other. And if you want to experiment and become more aware of sound, your voice, your ability to be more of yourself through sound, then do join me at one of my sound sessions. It would be such a pleasure to have you there. They're fun, they're playful, they're experimental, they're very conscious, just like being able to witness what's happening in ourselves. And yeah, just great fun and a great way to connect with people in a relaxed and informal way. And if you want to know more about that, please go to www.resonating.love. And if you've liked this, please support the channel by pressing the like button below and subscribe if you want to hear more from me. And if you feel this video will resonate with anyone, so anyone that perhaps is really interested in the sound or is feeling perhaps a little bit like they are finding it difficult to express through their voice, or anyone that comes to mind that just pops into your awareness, I invite you to share it, because it's such a journey together to experience more of our sound together. So wishing you a week of curiosity and expression and wonder in the world of sound vibration.